Hey guys, this is Martin speaking from the Kemper forum. I'm known as the user Lightbox. Today I want to show you how to deal with the Kemper Profiler, a Focusrite audio interface using the MixControl software, because MixControl software is pretty powerful and many folks don't know how to use it, so I want to explain you in the context of the Kemper Profiler. First of all, in this graphics in the background, I have indicated that I'm using SPDIF output to the Focusrite SPDIF input, and the Focusrite SPDIF output will go straight to the SPDIF input of the Kemper. Now, maybe you will wonder why I have set up my Focusrite to 48 kHz and internal sync source. That's because I use some more gear in between here, the Behringer sample rate converter. So for you guys, if you don't need 48 kHz, if you need 44.1 kHz, you just set it to the sample rate, and then don't forget to use the sync source SPDIF. That's the big difference between my setup and probably your setup. Okay, so don't worry about this here, just set it up the right way, 44.1 kHz and sync source SPDIF. Now, wow, it looks confusing, the MixControl. Lots of options and what to do there. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, first of all, we have different tabs for different mixes. It's always a good idea to name things, to rename it so you know what you're doing there. But here you can't right click, you cannot double click, so what you need to do is, if you want to rename this mix, you just go to the master fader and just rename it here. So for example, I will call it monitor mix. Okay, and immediately after I confirm my change, it will be shown here as monitor mix. Then I have some Q mixes, doesn't matter for now. Usually they are just numbered, mix 7, mix 9, mix 11. If you wonder why is there mix 8 missing, that's because this mix 7 is set up as a stereo mix, because you can change this to mono mix. Just below the master fader of this mix, you just click this button and you split this into two separate mono mixes. So if you need stereo mix, you just activate it here. If you need a mono mix, you just deactivate it. Alright, now you can set up lots of different mixes, and then if you have these mixes, you can watch your outputs and you can send different mixes to different outputs. For example, my monitor mix goes to the monitor outputs, left and right channels obviously, and here are my headphone outputs. I could, for example, set this to QMix 1, left and right, of course, and this one to QMix 2, left and right. I won't do this because otherwise I can't hear you anymore or myself anymore. So that's the way you can use your mixes to send them to different outputs. I have one mix 15 here, and I just renamed this to the Reamp mix. Now you can see the tab is already showing Reamp mix, and this mix I will send to the left output of my SPDIF. To the left channel of the SPDIF I send this Reamp mix. This way I can always adjust and select what I want to send to my Kemper Profiler via the SPDIF output's left channel. This is the channel that is being used for reamping. You can switch off the right channel, we don't need it. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm using a mono mix. No stereo mix needed. Of course, you could send your DAW output directly to this SPDIF output without using the MixControl software. I'm going to show you this. You can select inputs, you can select DAW outputs, you can select mixes, and I could change this to DAW 11 for example. What does this mean, DAW 11? I will come back to this in a moment, because now I will show you Cubase. Okay, I have Cubase. I could show you Studio One as well, but I don't have all DAWs that are available on the market, so it should be similar on every DAW you probably have. So I have two tracks here. I already recorded a Git stack signal. So on your profiler, you just set the PDIF output to Git stack, and then in your DAW you set up two mono tracks. I call them Git and stack, and now I have to give them the correct inputs. Well, probably I didn't set up my inputs correctly. So first of all, I make sure that in the device setup I have selected the correct audio interface, which is the ASIO Sapphire. In my case it's the Sapphire Liquid 56. So I see lots of inputs, lots of outputs here. Maybe you have less, doesn't matter. You can do many things as long as you have the MixControl software. Okay, but now we have to configure the inputs and outputs, and I will do this here. I just set up the mic input, but now I can add another bus. Let's see, stereo bus, and I call it the profiler. Add bus, and it immediately creates two mono channels, left and right, obviously, and I have to select which one they are. So in the list of inputs of my Liquid Sapphire, I choose PDIF left and PDIF right, and that's pretty much all I need. And then I go to outputs. This is, I think this is automatically set up, the stereo out, which goes out to monitor 1 and 2. But I need another bus, and the bus I need now is a mono bus, because that's my reamp bus. Come on. And which one is the reamp bus I want to use? I want to use the PDIF left. So that's this one here. And if we watch again, you can see why I chose DAW 11. Because here all outputs of my DAW, all possible outputs of my DAW are listed. So if I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11. So that's the reason why I used DAW 11 on the MixControl. Okay. Now back. Guitar track, which would be the PDIF left signal as the input. Here we go. And the stack would be the PDIF right channel. Here we go. Now all tracks will be sent to stereo out, which are outputs 1 and 2. But I don't want that for the Git track, which is the clean guitar track for reamping. I want to send this to the reamp output. You remember, DAW 11. Haha. And now we just create a new track, a stereo track, to record the reamped guitar. Reamped guitar. Add this track as the input. We just select the profiler, and as the output, stereo out, because we want to listen to it as soon as it's recorded. And that's pretty much all. Now we have just to record enable this track and then hit record, and everything will happen immediately. I can show you. Here we go. This track is sent to the profiler, and here we record what comes back from the profiler. We can have a look. This is loop recording. It will keep recording all the time. So we can switch here to the MixControl, and in the reamp mix you can see that we only send this signal, the DAW 11 signal, to the reamp mix, which is also the fader at 0. Here we can switch this from DAW 11, which would be the direct way without using the mix, to Reamp Mix Mono. So it's still the same. You didn't see any change here. But if I would like to, I could add my microphone, and if I'm talking here and I put it pretty loud here, you will see that the curve is changing now. It's completely different, and I'm coming a little bit closer to the microphone, and it just looks different. And now I get my microphone away. I don't want to reamp my microphone, and we are back with a original guitar only track. And here on the monitor mix I can see that, yeah, same thing. This one goes out, but it's muted, so I don't have it on my ears. And here I see what comes back from the profiler, the reamped signal, the analog way and the PDIF way. Alright, so I just stopped this recording. We don't need this anymore. I just want to tell you, make sure that you name these things. The tabs or the mixes, name them so you remember what you use them for. Name your faders, your inputs. You cannot name the actual input selection. These are names given by the system, but you can name the faders. These names will not be reflected in your DAW, but they will help you to keep track of what you're doing in MixControl. Then make sure that you set up your outputs correctly. Monitor mix for the monitors, monitor mix probably for your headphones, like here. If you have different gear, you can set up different mixes and send them to the outputs you want, like the reamp mix, which goes out to the PDIF output 1. Pretty powerful, and I hope that helped you. Just one more small tip. If you click one of these monitor buttons here, it will turn blue, and if you click again it will turn red. You don't get it to silver again. If you want to have it silver again, you need to press the shift key and click. Shift click makes it gray again. That can be important if you run into some kind of strange trouble. But this tutorial is not meant to explain you these monitor buttons here. You can find this in the manuals. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.